Alright everybody, I'm going to go ahead and make a quick tutorial on how to use TableTop Simulator with the Oak and Iron module. So the first thing that you're going to do is load up Steam, and you're going to go to the TableTop Simulator in your library. You'll click on that, then you come over here to the workshop. Click on the workshop and do a search for Oak and Iron. You'll go ahead and see that there's this lovely module created by the guys at Firelock, and what you'll do is you'll actually click down here. There'll be like a green plus, and you click on that and it'll say that you have subscribed to the module. So that's what I've done already here. It says you're subscribed to this item. It's going to take like a minute for you to download the assets, but once you do that, you should be able to go ahead and just load up the game. So I'm going to go back to my library, hit play, and let's see how this works. So get my TableTop Simulator running. I'm going to create a game. Go to multiplayer, Oak and Iron, hit create server. And we'll see down here in the workshop section that I've got this Oak and Iron starter set. So if I go ahead and click on this, go ahead, click load. You're going to get the module to load up, and they've done a great job of having all of your ships and cards and everything ready to go. Got your kind of templates here, your faction decks, or well, your what do we call these? The initiative cards. Some product placement here to go look at the website, and you've also got the full rulebook available to you. So you can click on it and look at things. So if you've never used TableTop Simulator before, if you hold down the Alt key over any item, it's going to make it bigger on your screen. So you can read these cards. If you're just looking at them, just hold down the Alt key, and it gets bigger and you're able to read it. Okay. So that's kind of the table and everything. We've got some new beta cards here. I'm just going to set these off to the side for right now because I think that's a little bit beyond what we're trying to do. Just throw that card off to the side. And what you can do is you can set up the table. Just grab some pieces, throw it around, and with your Q and E keys, when you've got an item selected, and so how I've got it selected is I'm just pressing my left mouse button, and then I'm able to drag it around. But with the Q and E keys, it rotates the items. So there we go, we've got a table set up. Let's go over how to create your force. So you've got all of your ship cards down here. And what you're going to want to do is right click on them and hit draw, and just keep clicking on draw. These will put the cards in your hand, and you can see, okay, I've got all this. But what you're gonna end up doing is, let's start by just dragging the cards out of your hand and putting them on the table. There's a reason that we're gonna do this. Let's throw the flute up there. Let's get the galleon over here. Alright. So we've got all of our cards here on the table. What we're gonna then do is grab our ships. We're just gonna rotate these. Stick them over here. This is the flute. So that's over here. I'm once again pressing Q and E, and I'm just moving these ships to where they need to go. And what I'm actually doing is I am creating, oh, that's the petite frigate. my list for my fight with my opponent. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this before you even play a game with your opponent. You're going to come in here and you're going to create your list. So I got my ships here, and you can see that we've got the point costs for the ships right here. And what you can do is, let's just say we've got a 50-point list. You have your faction cards. So I'm going to draw out all the faction cards. And I'm a Spanish player, so I'm going to throw out the Spanish card over here. See, okay, this is the effects that the Spanish get. And I'm going to just throw all these other faction cards off to the side because they're dirty and nobody likes the Dutch. Alright, so we've got Spanish. Those are the rules for the Spanish. And let's say we're creating a 50-point list. Well, we see that, okay, we've got Corvettes. Maybe I want to, let's see, we get Stout as a bonus thing. So the Flute is an 11-point ship. You can add Stout. So maybe I'm going to highlight this. So I got these two ship cards, the ship and the card. I'm going to press Control C. I'm going to come over here and press Control V. So now I've got two flutes. So I'm up to 22 points, and I'm not going to make it exactly a 50-point list, but I just want to show you guys how this works. Okay, you can flip these cards over by hitting the F key to see what's on the back side of them, to see the additional rules and what everything gets you. But what we'll do is there are some tokens over here, and you can say, alright, I bought the, well, I guess they use this for the crew markers. So let me grab a black one here. You can say that I'm Swift, so I'll put that here so that we got one extra point. Just move this off to the side. Press Control C, get the skill upgrade, and additional guns. So what you're doing is you're just planning out your list. And you will also come over here. Let's say I'm taking all these cards. And where are the admirals again? Because you want your admiral cards. Are they right here? No, those are the additional. Oh, here's the admiral deck. So I'm just going to move these over. You've got your seasoned admiral, so your point cost. And let's say I pick up this 2-pointer. I'm going to throw it over here as well. So you make your deck as you would normally. I'm going to move this island out of the way for right now. If this is everything that you need in your hand to play, oh, let me move this island out of the way too. Let's pretend this is 50 points. You'd highlight everything, right click on it, and do Save Object. And it'll put it in this root folder here. And what you're going to say is Spanish for tonight. Okay, so let's go ahead and redo the tabletop. I'm going to come back in, hit Workshop, just going to load up everything again. So it resets everything. I'm going to clear the deck. Okay, so I'm ready to play my friend. I've made my fleet, he's made his fleet. We come into Objects, Saved Objects, and then off to the side here, we've got a Spanish for tonight that I've already created. So I just drag that onto the table, and I am ready to go. So I can highlight all these ships. Put them off to the side here. We can get our table set up. Oh, forgot to grab those. And let's talk about these cards for a second. If we draw them so that they're in our hand for when we're doing our initiative and everything. Oh, come back out. Where did all those cards go? They're stacked on top of each other, but I can't seem to... Oh no, I guess they weren't. Alright, somehow I lost all my cards. Oh, that's great for recording. I'll grab these cards here. I'm going to right click on these. I'm going to flip them over. Oh, yeah, group them. Okay. So these are my initiative cards. Sorry about that. And what I can do is I can just draw them and get them in my hand. So I'm just going to keep clicking draw. And pretend I've got this card over here as well. I'm going to draw it. Put it in my hand. Alright, so these are your initiative cards that you can select to play. And when you've got them held in your hand like this, where they're floating above your name, the other person isn't able to see what they are. They'll just have like question marks there. But once you place it on the table, then somebody's going to be able to see that. So you can just keep dragging them back on and off and flipping them over, hitting the F key to reveal them. Alright. So how you actually play the game, well, say I've got my flute here. You'll go ahead and use the movement tool. Let's say the flute is moving at a 3. And the game's a little imprecise, but it's the best that you're going to work with. Is you just kind of move it off to the side, line up your arrows. And you can see that it's mostly there. Then what you can do is press the Q and E key to do your little rotation values to try and get this lined up the best you can. And you know, your opponents are going to be pretty forgiving. There we go. That looks good. And so the ship made its turn. For dice, all you have to do, come over here, and you'll say you need to fire with 3 guns. You'll go ahead, hit the R key to roll it once you've got them highlighted, and you'll see that if we were firing the cannons, that would not have been very great. In fact, I don't think that's even a single hit if you're doing long range. No. But you can check your range ruler by Q and E and moving it over, placing it over models. Where's the rest of my ships? Let's pretend this ship is here. You can check the range by just sticking this over it. To see what the ranges are. Alright, you've also got your scenario cards and everything over here, so you'd go ahead and draw this, I guess, to see what scenario you're playing. That's the weather gauge. But that's essentially how you're going to play the game. You have tokens off to the side. You want to draw out a shaken token. You can go ahead and put that next to your ship. So you've got that marked. You've got your fortune tokens. You probably want a couple of those so that you can throw those down on the table for when you need to reroll. Got your reloads. You draw that out, and say if that flute just fired, you go ahead and mark that, and you'll do the same with the the wave tokens for showing that the ship has activated this turn. And your opponent would be doing the same thing with all of their models. You can highlight your fleet so that things don't get confused. If you right click on, say, this light galleon, go to color tint, we can say I've got a purple fleet. It's going to make the sails purple. So if you've got a couple of corvettes intermingled between everybody, you can, highlight and identify who's who. But that is essentially what you're going to do to play Oak and Iron. Let me know if you want any more clarification on how to pick up and interact and move modules around or items around on the screen. All right, take care, everybody.